Happy Thursday. I had a few ideas going around in my mind, but I may talk about a couple, but I'm gonna try and do the best that I can to stick to one subject and not jump all over the place like I did the last time. I apologize, I haven't made videos for a while, so my mind is just kind of all over the place, but that's just how it is. I apologize, but hey, I'm doing my best. So what really came to me kind of naturally through fighting through my own trials with my cut, and my cut's going great. Like I said the other day, I've been averaging about 4 pounds a month cutting, and it's going great. I'm taking a very modest approach, and I do believe that for someone with like a back injury like I have, a permanent back injury and an aging body, it's better to take a very slow rather than aggressive approach. I've tried to take aggressive approaches in the past, and I ended up getting sidelined for quite a bit of time. And the level of activities that I like to do, there I go going off on something else again. But I'm taking the slow approach, and I recommend the slow approach for someone getting closer to 40 years old like myself. But what I wanted to talk about specifically is the idea of focusing on sticking to your regimen rather than looking at things like weight and weight averages and measurements. The reason for this is, and I've seen this in myself, I can't say that this is your problem, but I've seen this in myself. I tend to get a lot of anxiety when I'm doing all this work, because I have a schedule, and one thing that I've been really good about is training regularly and sticking to my schedule and hitting workouts. Well, my weight fluctuates quite a bit, and I will fluctuate in like a 5-pound range a lot of the time throughout the month. It isn't until maybe the week that I hit a month from my last weigh-in, or maybe even sometime the week after, that I will see that 4-pound drop. And for a long time I was struggling mentally because I've done things in a different way in the past. I've done a much more aggressive approach, and I've seen quite a bit of difference in a short period of time. Well, now that I'm taking this very modest approach, I'm seeing these fluctuations because of the way that I eat. I tend to eat quite a bit of vegetables and fruits per day. Certain days I take in more high glycemic index carbohydrates, which make me hold more weight. I take in more salt on certain days, which make me hold more weight. And I will see a weigh-in. As today, I saw a weigh-in that I haven't seen in a month, a high that I haven't seen in a month. But that's just because I'm nursing a little problem right now. I've been eating a little bit more, and so I have these high weigh-ins. Well, if I didn't have the mental stamina, if you will, or capacity, or experience, I guess understanding of the experiences that I've been going through, I would be pretty frustrated today. I'm not, because I do understand that it may take several days for you to have, urinate this stuff out, have bowel movements, sweat it out, and the other ways that the body gets rid of things, through evaporation, through sweat. All these things play a key in, overall fat loss. But I think a lot of the time we get caught up in thinking that fat loss is the same as nutrients intake, which it's not. Water intake and burning off water like with a sauna suit or sweating a lot is not the same as total fat loss. Fat loss is an entirely different thing. I'm not going to go into all that, but it's a process. And it's not a process. Fat loss isn't a process that is abundant from day to day. You know, you may lose a little bit of fat, you know, because of a caloric deficit per day, but it's not going to be pounds. It may be a percentage, a very small percentage of 1 pound, something that you probably won't see on a scale. So all I can do is urge you, you know, from my experiences to, you know, yes, weigh yourself every day. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to weigh yourself every day, because, you know, you'll see the fluctuations with the food that you eat. You'll start to notice the differences between, like, you know, what you weighed in the morning, you know, versus what you weighed in the evening after, like, bowel movements and urinating and all these different things, or even like how much weight you burn. For instance, you know, I weigh myself in the morning, and then I weigh myself after every time I ride. I usually weigh less because I'm sweating. Or, you know, certain times when I lift, you know, I'll weigh myself in the morning, then I'll weigh myself again after my workout, and depending on how much water intake I have, I will weigh less after I work out, or I'll weigh more after I work out. So getting in tune with those, you know, different fluctuations, it does help. And that's what got me to the point where I don't experience that anxiety anymore over, you know, the weight fluctuations. But I urge you, please don't get caught up with that. You know, please develop the mindset to really focus on, you know, what is my weight? What was my weight on the 15th of last month versus the 15th of this month, or the 25th of last month versus the 25th of this month? You know, look at your weight fluctuations in that perspective. Or even if you're the type of person that, you know, has a regimen in place and does that regimen for 2 months and then weighs yourself, you know, and just, you know, focus on the process. Because if you focus on the scale, or if you focus on measurements, they won't always deliver. Weight loss is an entire body process. You can't spot reduce. You know, if you lose a considerable amount of weight, I'd say 5 to 10, maybe even 15 pounds, depending on certain people, because certain people may carry a lot of weight in their trunk, or, you know, and less in the legs. You know, I have friends that don't have any weight in their legs, very small legs, but have a lot in their, you know, chest, back, and arms. You know, you can't always look to certain areas of the body to render a result that you are that's going to promote or motivate you to continue going, unless you give it time. So, you know, I would say, you know, every 5 pounds maybe take measurements, every 10 pounds take measurements, every 15 pounds, like myself, I don't take measurements until I lose 15 pounds. That's just me. But, you know, you got to come up with your own formula. But the gist of this this video today is, do not focus on the scale. If you are going to focus on the scale, make sure you give yourself a nice big chunk of time where, you know, work is being done for, you know, 4 to 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks, depending on who you are. And, you know, look at that scale, look at those averages, look how much weight you've lost over that period of time. Same thing again with the measurements. You know, give it 5 pounds, give it 10 pounds, give yourself time to, you know, milk some weight off, and then revisit the measurements, and you know, see what you've attained through that work ethic that you've been putting forth. So that's all I have to say today. Happy Thursday.